What's cracking, everybody? Zarfel Rose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go battling content. Today's video, we're going to be kind of quiet. Maggie's back there is trying to sleep. She's very tired. So we're going to keep it quiet today. But we're on an excellent team that I discovered in the Open Ultra League with my Shadow Gliscor and Tapu Fini and Registeel. Now, I was committed to building a team around Tapu Fini because it feels like it core breaks so many teams just by existing. And it really does. And I felt like Registeel has been forgotten about. Nobody bothers to build for Registeel anymore. Now, unfortunately, there were some good battles that I had in the first set that I was doing while learning this team that I didn't record, such as winning a Swampert lead with Gliscor and a person who unfortunately had no answer to Registeel, and it was just like, would have been perfect for this video, but unfortunately we didn't get the footage. So we're just going to jump straight into the battles here. We've got Gliscor on the lead with two, it's really just a balanced team. You really just, if you happen to lose a lead with Gliscor, you go into the least dominant answer, typically going to be Registeel. Charmers, I like to swap into Tapu Fini just because Registeel is the harder answer there. And something that I've learned against Giratina, you stay in. So we're gonna look at these battles here. Some really fun battles. Mandibuzz is a bad lead. Just completely hard walls my Gliscor. So I go straight into my Registeel because Tapu Fini is my better answer. Opponent brings in a Cobalion, which is not bad, because my Registeel may not have the greatest IVs as far as like bulk, but it's still able to get the two Focus Blasts before a Cobalion can take it out. So that's really helpful for me, and I know that I can draw a shield and get them low enough for Gliscor to easily just farm down. So Gliscor, by the way, I've been using this thing in factions for the last few weeks. It's disgustingly good now with the wing attack buff. It basically destroys everything. So Registeel is going to get a chunk of damage off the Cobalion with the Focus Blast, and I'm going to come in with my Gliscor and farm down. And then Gliscor is going to have to eat a Stone Edge. That's fine with me. The opponent looks like they may be with the Tapu Fini, so I'm just going to take this advantage with my energy and drop in my Tapu Fini as soon as the Mandibuzz comes back in and see what they decide to pop in with. Then they come in with a Rodriguez. The entire team weak against Tapu Fini. I know I put Registeel in the thumbnail, but Tapu Fini really is, like, all three of these Pokemon are stars of the show in their own right. Everything in here puts in so much work. It's insane. So the Tapu Fini takes a Rock Tomb. My opponent probably building against the Charizards that they keep seeing, which I don't blame them. I see them a lot too. So Tapu Fini is going to get a Surf off. My opponent is out of shields, and they're going to go down. I'm going to shield this up because I do value my Tapu Fini at this point. What I'm looking to do here is I'm going to try and get a Moonblast off against the Mandibuzz after getting some farm up, but I'm going to swap first to clear my debuff. So I probably should have swapped a little bit later, but I was not in the mood to take a move. I wanted to force the Mandibuzz to throw their energy because they basically have to. They can't just farm me down. So I'm going to throw a bunch of Night Slashes into this Mandibuzz, do some chip damage, and then with one shield, I should easily be able to reach a Moonblast against the Mandibuzz and take it out. So, and my opponent does me the favor here of just throwing the energy to take out my Gliscor, which is fine. That actually works out better for me because that means they have less energy to throw at my Fini. So I'm going to be able to get to the Moonblast here and take out my opponent's Mandibuzz, and that's going to be a good game. Very well played. But just Fini is just so freaking good. It core breaks all these teams. Grand Bull lead. Okay, going to go into Tapu Fini here because I know that they're definitely going to have a better time. And my opponent has a Staraptor, Shadow Staraptor. This is super spicy, but I know that I cannot tank one Brave Bird. So I basically have to play this out. I'm going to go for the double shields here. Now my opponent is going to build up the two moves, which is the smart thing to do here, not letting them get their defense lowered before I start taking them out. But they double shield here, which I know they're going to go for switch. So I figured that maybe they just go for double Brave Bird here, but instead they actually go for the close combat baits, which is smart by them. But that means now that they're basically going to need another 6 or so wing attacks to get to the Brave Bird, and they're not going to be able to get there. So that's going to be me flipping switch, and now I'm going to be able to get the Registeel aligned to the Grand Bull. Now, normally that would be good, except this Grand Bull is running Snarl, and they have a Charizard in the back. So this is really good for me because the opponent is going to have to eat a whole Surf, and they're not going to be able to take care of my Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini, once again, putting in so much work. I'm just going to come straight in with my Grand Bull to finish the job here. They don't even need to see my Registeel. So this is a good game. Very well played. But just Fini is just so freaking good. It core breaks all these teams. Grand Bull lead. Okay, gonna go into Tapu Fini here because I know that I'm going to be able to get a Moonblast off against the Mandibuzz. So I'm going to go for the Double Shields here. Now my opponent is going to build up the two moves, which is the smart thing to do here, not letting them get their defense lowered before I start taking them out. But they double shield here, which I know they're going to go for switch. So no shade on my opponent, obviously. But there's just so many people that just aren't ready and aren't building for Tapu Fini. It's insane. So Gliscor into Pidgeot. This is not an ideal lead. I have to swap here, but what I'm going to do instead of swapping this into Tapu Fini, I know that this is the hardest answer I have, but I kind of have to roll with this. What I'm hoping is that I'm going to be able to overwhelm this Pidgeot with energy later on by getting some farm. I've basically brought out their Cobalion, which is not necessarily drawing out a hard answer to something. If I were to do that, hopefully that would have been the Virizion if they were running one. But in this case, what I'm doing is I'm setting up a really good farm opportunity for my Gliscor to be able to unload a couple of Light Slashes and Night Slashes into the Pidgeot, hopefully, before it gets taken out. The other opportunity that I'm going to be providing for myself here is for Tapu Fini, hopefully to sweep. Now that I know what their backline is like, I'm thinking maybe they have G-Fisk, they could have Registeel back there, which would be less ideal. My Gliscor would have a great time with that. But instead they have a Tapu Fini. So everything is kind of neutral. My opponent is going to have to shield at this Earthquake or take a lot of damage from it. Shadow Gliscor is insane. My opponent drops both shields on this Tapu Fini, and now what I have to do is I have to play this very carefully. My opponent launches here, I think, a Moonblast, so that's good that I shielded that, because if they had baited with a Surf, I think that this entire game would have been lost. But I'm going to overfarm a bunch on energy. I need to go for a Moonblast here. I know that I'm not going to get shielded because they don't have any shields left. Moonblast almost takes it out. Here is where things get tough. Do I call the Feather Dance or do I call the Brave Bird? I think I have to call that this is a Feather Dance, and I get lucky. This is a coin toss every single time. What I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to build up energy and bide my time until the debuff, I can switch. My switch clock is coming up. Now this I shield no matter what, because I have to. But I'm going to continue farming up a bunch of energy to force this Pidgeot to throw their energy, and then I'm going to be able to fire off a Moonblast on my Tapu Fini now that they've used up their energy. And if this Moonblast doesn't KO, it's going to come very close, and I'll be able to easily Water Gun down after that. So Moonblast takes out the Pidgeot, and I'm able to Water Gun down their Tapu Fini with almost no HP. And that's a good game. Very well played, very close game. Definitely came down to that Feather Dance bait call. So, Giratina. Let's talk about this. I've lost a lot of these games because I think, oh, okay, maybe they don't have a good answer to Registeel. So I'll swap in my Registeel, thinking, okay, maybe I'm good. No. If you ever play this team, if you play this, it's a great team. This team is probably one of the strongest teams I've seen in Ultra League at the moment. If you play it, play out the Giratina leads. You almost always RPS the backline. They'll probably have something like, Cresselia in the back and something weak to Tapu Fini. Almost every single game that I played, I would have RPS the backline if I just stayed in with the Gliscor. And then Gliscor just isn't able to handle the rest of whatever they've got. So keep that in mind if you play this team, because that's one of the biggest things that I found that I was losing to. Now my opponent, see, they come with Umbreon. If I had just one lead, I could have stuck my Tapu Fini onto this Umbreon, and then I could have put Registeel against the Cresselia that is inevitably in back. I only know that there's Cresselia in the back because I remember this game, and this is actually one of the most obnoxious games that I played because I think this was a timeout loss, and it was like this close of a timeout loss. Like I almost could have won this game if I had been given an extra, like, I don't know, 20 seconds maybe. So timeout losses are really sucky, but this is going to be one of those games where it's just a long drawn out game with war of attrition, sort of. I haven't seen their backline yet. I'm assuming that whatever it is, probably not going to be feeling like it wants to come into Tapu Fini, but my opponent instead just throws a bunch of moves at my Tapu Fini with their Umbreon, and now I'm like, man, I really wish I had my Registeel based on this thing. So, yeah, as you can see, and this happens every single time I see a Giratina lead. I could just RPS the backline, and if I had done that, I'd have been in good shape. But anyway, obviously, hindsight is 20/20. I've learned my lesson, and you're probably going to see a couple of times where I still play this the same way because I didn't learn to play this correctly until afterwards, after these battles were recorded. So, just keep it in mind as you play your games if you play this team. So Giratina is going to come back in. I'm not going to be able to get to a move or farm. They just get a huge farm down off of me, and that's not good. My Gliscor is missing energy. I don't think it has a move. And my Tapu Fini, I'm just hoping that I can absorb this energy. And what I'm hoping to do is try and win with my Gliscor here. They're able to get the farm down. I'm going to go for the Night Slash on the CMP, I believe, and I'm just hoping that I'm going to be able to take out this Umbreon. My opponent gives up their last shield to keep the Giratina alive, and I'm going to let this go. It's just a Dragon Claw. I'd rather save the shield for my Umbreon. Now, I did see the timer come up, and they are at 2 Dragon Claws. That is unfortunate. If I had been given just a little bit more time, I probably could have gotten to a move and taken them out, but it's all right. Well played to my opponent. Just, you know, that's part of the Ultra League, right? So, Scrafty lead, you couldn't ask for a better lead. I have every answer to this that I could possibly think of, and my opponent safe swaps in a Charizard, and I come in with my Tapu Fini with the intent on trying to farm down, but I also learned in this matchup that this is where the Tapu Fini actually is forced to shield and cannot farm all the way down, so I have to throw the Surf. And then if my opponent shields, they're going to be able to get another move off, and that means I'm going to have to shield in kind. But I think at this point, if they throw the Blast Burn, then I can farm down. If they throw the Dragon Claw, then it's kind of sketchy. So this is definitely a Dragon Claw. This is not enough for another Blast Burn, so I'm going to just let this go. But it was a Blast Burn, so I just lost count and I lost switch, which is really unfortunate. But now I know that my Gliscor can farm down, and they have a Swampert in the back, which means I'm going to lose this game. Swampert in the back sucks. So Earthquake's going to go off, but my opponent does shield it, because they're smart. They should. I do shield up this Hydro Cannon. In hindsight, maybe I didn't need to. But what I'm looking to do here is try and catch another Hydro Cannon on my Registeel, but I don't. And it just kind of goes south from here, unfortunately for me. The only thing that I have here at this point is just hoping that I can deal with the Scrafty, maybe land an Earthquake. So I'm going to go for the Focus Blast here, and I'm going to be able to land a huge amount of damage on the Scrafty as it's going to counter me down. But the nice thing about the Scrafty is that I resist the counter damage, and they have to use Foul Play to do damage, and they're going to need 2 of them, which they're not going to be able to get to 2 in order to take me out. So Foul Play 1 comes through, does about a little over half of my remaining HP, and I'm just going to mash the Earthquake, and my opponent did not have a Hydro Cannon. That means this Earthquake is going to go off, and I'm going to hit the button. Takes out the stupid Swampert. I hate Swampert. Takes out the Swampert, and that's a good game. Well played to my opponent. Very well played. Another Giratina lead. We're going to see more of the same here, I think. This is another foolish situation where I decide to give up switch and lead advantage here. Gliscor handily wins this matchup in the 0s, 1s, 2s, basically everything. But I decide once again, I'm going to come with my Registeel because I want to try and draw out a Swampert, right? And in this case, okay, you know, maybe Swampert does really good against Gliscor and Registeel, but whatever they've got in the back did not want to see my Gliscor. Otherwise, they would have swapped it in to try and align the Swampert. So again, they've probably got Cresselia in the back. And my stupid self didn't see that. So what I should have done here was I should have stayed in, should have won the lead, and then let Tapu Fini be aligned to the Swampert. Now, obviously, this is all hindsight, I know, but this is just me mauling about the battles that I've played. Swampert is going to be able to get a move off here. I'm going to shield up this Hydro Cannon, and I'm going to try and use the energy lead that I've got here to threaten this Giratina when it comes back in. Now, if I was playing smartly, I would have thrown the Surf here. But I saw the Cresselia came in, and that's why I decided to come in with a Giratina, and now my opponent has switched. Now my Gliscor cannot beat this entire team, and they're up a shield. So I'm in a lot of trouble here. Don't really have much of a choice, though, unfortunately. The Night Slash is going to draw the first shield. I even get an attack boost, which is really nice. I let this go. It's Dragon Claw. I don't care. It's fine. So, this Dragon Claw, my opponent is going to have another move ready already. They get to this moves the same pace that I do, so I'm going to let this go. My opponent is not going to be able to farm me down before I'm going to get to a move, but they are going to be able to farm me down afterwards, which sucks. They throw up their next shield, and then basically all I've got here is I've got a shield advantage. I need to farm down this whole Giratina. That's all I got. Now, they're going to have Shadow Sneak here, I'm pretty sure. So at least it's not Ancient Power. I'm not worried about a buff. My opponent comes straight in with a Cresselia, not giving me the farm down that I needed. Moonblast isn't going to be enough damage. This is basically a good game. As soon as they get to the Grass Knot, I'm basically toast. So I could go for us a farm down here, potentially. The only way I win is if they can't get to a Grass Knot before, but they have enough energy. Easily going to get to another move here. So, well played to my opponent. That was as good as they could have possibly. They capitalized on the mistake that I made, but once again, if I had stayed in, I had a better chance of RPSing the opponent with the backline. So, once again, reaffirming that I should have stayed with Giratina. This is not a very good, but this is a good one. My opponent tries to catch a Night Slash on the Registeel, and then they're like, "Fam, I'm done." I had to keep that one in there. That was great. All right, Galvantula. All right. So this is actually not terrible for Gliscor, but my opponent swaps in straight away to a Drapion. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to farm up some energy, not go for the Earthquake, because just in case they have the Aqua Tail, I don't want to take it. They have the Aqua Tail, so it's a good thing I didn't stay in. It looks like I caught an Aqua Tail. Typically, they're going to go Crunch against Registeel. So I'm going to go and run the Registeel here, because that's really my only response. I need to keep my Gliscor alive for the Galvantula, because Tapu Fini cannot be aligned to it. So I need to win switch here by basically any means possible. I'm thinking about farming down here, but realistically, probably not the best option. Only because this opponent did get the defense debuff, and because my Registeel is not super XL, I have to shield, and I have to hope that they decide not to shield us. Now, if we were looking into a multiple shield scenario, my opponent decides to shield us, I can farm down, so I think they recognize this, and that's why they decide not to. I'm hoping I can get a move off here before the Galvantula can take me out, and thankfully I get to a Zap Cannon, even though it's resisted, still going to do some damage here. And then the Zap Cannon, yeah, takes about a 40%, and then I'm going to come up with my Gliscor, and I'm going to go for this Night Slash right off the bat here, hoping maybe my opponent thinks I'm at an Earthquake, and the Night Slash actually doesn't do anything, and then they're going to come in with Cresselia, and I'm like, oh boy. Once again, Gliscor is up against it, having to do the whole job by himself. So, Gliscor is just, it's been amazing ever since I built this thing. Ever since the Wing Attack buff in Factions and GBL, this thing has just been an absolute monster. Has some respectable bulk to it too. I'm gonna shield up my opponent. They're gonna go for Grass Knot here. I could have sworn they were just gonna go for a nuke, but they don't. So I'm gonna keep going for Night Slashes here. I'm just wishing I could get a boost. I'm gonna come in now with my Tapu Fini. I need to conserve some of my Gliscor for the Galvantula, but basically, Tapu Fini is basically here at this point just to basically eat energy and be a shield. But the opponent comes straight in with the Galvantula, and they decide to shield it, and that is huge. What that's going to allow me to do now is it's going to allow me to farm it down and have more energy, but they have 2 moves loaded. Now, I know this is probably just a lunge. They're going to go for a debuff to try and save the Cresselia. I'm going to farm down. I need to get to a Night Slash, and I'm going to be able to get there. Is this going to be enough damage to take out the Cresselia, though? No, it hangs on with 1 HP, and they get to a charge move. I don't know what move this is. I think it's a Moonblast. They go for the Moonblast, and I hang on with just enough HP to get 1 more Wing Attack in, and that's going to do it. That's going to be a good game. Well played to my opponents. This team was an absolute blast to run. I think it's probably one of the strongest teams currently in the Ultra League, in my opinion. And so many people have just forgotten about Registeel, and Tapu Fini just breaks so many cores apart. And so does Gliscor. Like, Gliscor and Tapu Fini are like the top 2 core breakers, so that's why this team does so well. So that's going to do it for my video, guys. Just quick reminder, if you're looking to get early access to my teams, my meta-analysis, and everything else that basically has to do with this game, before it hits YouTube, there's a link to Patreon in the description that you can use to join my Patreon Discord. And I'm also opened up the YouTube membership option now, so if you want to become a member of the channel, you can also get access to the Discord by using that. Same price as the Patreon. I don't want to make a discrepancy. It's the same either way. And if you're looking for coaching to take your game to play to the next level, hit me up on Metafy. You can get any of my lessons or live sessions or even just recording replay reviews. All that is included in the link in the description for Metafy. Check it out. And I'm going to hope to catch you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.